You're now joining the meeting.
Hello.
Hello, Derek.
Yes, sir.
Hey, great to hear from you. Thank you for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
Congratulations on being selected for the Illinois Athletics Hall of Fame. Certainly well deserved, and very excited to have you a part of that. It's we're very early in only the fourth class. We're going through this. We got 130 years to catch up, and great players like you and many others are on tap as we move forward. But we greatly appreciate you joining us today.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, Derek, maybe we can just start off by you talking a little bit about what you felt, your emotions when you were contacted and realized you were going into the Hall of Fame, and what that meant for you.
That means everything. Actually, when I first got wind of it, it was a surreal thought, to be quite frank with you, because I don't think anybody picks up a basketball or a football or a baseball or whatever the case is or the sport is, anticipating being in someone's Hall of Fame. That's not what it's all about for most athletes. But, when you reflect on it, you have to be very humble by it. And you also have to realize that you don't accomplish things like that on your own. There are a lot of people that help you to be successful enough to be recognized like that. So, where I'm extremely excited, I have to thank a lot of people for the opportunity presenting itself. So, I'm very grateful and humbled by it.
With that, we'll go ahead and open up for questions from the media who are on the line. Just please, again, identify yourself when you ask your question.
Okay, I'll go first.
Derek, this is Bob Austin. Oh, go ahead.
Thanks, Bob. Derek, this is Rob McCauley from Illini Report. Would you talk about the recruiting process and who was the key? I assume it was Tony Yates was the key guy that brought you in. Would you talk about other schools and what you remember of that time?
Busy time. And again, I hate to keep using the word surreal, but a surreal moment, a surreal time, because, you're young and you're in the inner city more or less, and you got all these major universities interested in you. So it was a very difficult decision. I was heavily recruited by Michigan, by UNC, University of North Carolina, Illinois, of course, Florida. All the Florida schools were was on my trail at the time. And it was UCLA. I'll give you a quick story about UCLA. They came down. Larry Brown was the coach at the time. And I had interviewed with Maryland, Michigan, and so many different people one day until I got to UCLA, and I was just dog tired. I was just tired of the process and literally just really tired from a long day and a long situation of being recruited, listening to different coaches make their pitch. I get to UCLA, and I'm sitting on the sofa in the projects where I grew up with my mother, and I literally looked Larry Brown in the eye and was dozing off, which after I thought about it was very embarrassing and all of that stuff. But that's how tired and how strenuous the process was. And, Illinois, I wanted to play in the Big Ten, I think in my hearts of hearts, because at the time, Magic was at Michigan State, Isaiah was at Indiana, and I kind of wanted to face the best. I thought that's where I wanted to play, because I've always felt like the Big Ten, if you could survive the Big Ten, you'd get an opportunity to play in the league. And, the Big Ten was at a peak at that particular time in 79, 80. So Illinois came, originally Michigan. Johnny Orr was there. They were in play. And Johnny Orr left to go to Iowa State, if I'm not mistaken, as a coach right before I made my decision. So that left Illinois. I'm not saying Illinois didn't have a chance prior to him leaving, but that helped me to make my decision after Coach Yates had been down to almost every single game. I think he was the most persistent assistant coach at that time that when it came to recruiting me. And And after, like I said, Johnny O made that decision to move on, I made my decision to pick Illinois. A lot of people were shocked by me going there because, of course, household names like Michigan and North Carolina, UCLA, that's what everybody was expecting. I think in my hometown and people that I was very close to, they just figured that I'd go to one of those bigger name schools. But, all in all, things worked out at Illinois, and I'm happy I made that choice.
And one more for me. I will say that Kent taught us to mute our microphones, so I don't want you to think that I wasn't laughing when you said you nodded off, but I was on mute.
Oh, I don't. I can only be honest, man. I'm a very very honest person, and that's what it was. Larry Brown. I didn't add at the end that he sent me a Western Union. I'm aging myself right now. I think he sent it. He probably sent it as soon as he got up and walked out the house because I got it so quick. And he just expressing that he would never give me a scholarship at UCLA at that particular time. So it was a pretty bizarre moment. I think he still holds that against me.
So my second and last question is about a set of trading cards, and I'm looking at your trading card right now, and I was born in 1971, so I was a kid when you got on campus, and I collected all of these. I think pretty much everybody that's about my age has all of the Illini trading cards from 1981. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember those?
Of course I do. I mean, maybe not verbatim, but of course I know the cards that you're talking about. Over the years, I've seen them everywhere, from city to city, being in the NBA.
Well, these are from Arby's, and they're just Illini
Arby's,
players.
oh my goodness, yeah. I had a little hair. I may have had hair back then, too, with a part down the side of my head with a wristband on my arm, right? I think that's the card.
You can't see your arm.
Yeah, I know the Arby's card. Long story short, of course, I remember the Arby's cards. No question about it.
Okay, thanks.
You're very welcome.
Hey, Derek, this is Bob Osmussen from the News Gazette. Describe your relationship with Lou Henson and how that started and how it was over the years, and how it is today.
I had a great relationship with Coach Henson. Being a high school All-American coming into the University of Illinois, I had one of those reputations that I was supposed to come in and be the guy, put the Illinois Illini on the map. And so that being the case, I was very confident as a player. And Coach Henson and he's one of these guys that wants to humble everybody, I think, because he's so that way. Coach Henson taught me more than any coach taught me. He taught me that you don't have to make a great play all the time. That's the one thing that sticks out to me when I think about Lou is how he says on this particular play or in this particular situation, a nice little simple bounce pass would have been better than a behind-the-back pass. And it got to the point where when I used to try to make behind-the-back passes all the time, it was something that I did in high school all the time, junior high school. I kind of mastered the behind-the-back pass to my teammates. And the funniest thing is when I did it in games and it didn't work, Coach Henson would normally call a timeout, and he would tell the team, Derek wants to be a star, and he's out on the floor being a hot dog. And everybody would always laugh because Lou would approach me that way so much. And, after growing as a player, I realized that what he was talking about made a lot of sense because you see guys trying to make alley-oop passes and do all of these incredible things. All you have to do sometimes is make the simple play. And I think that was Coach Henson. That was his power, is that fundamentals were very important to him. Coach Henson may not have been, one of these coaches like Bobby Knight that people raved about as a coach. But to me, he was a great coach, and he prepared you. Days before the game, he was always prepared and always ready, always had us ready to go out and perform, man. And I love the guy. Lou and I talk maybe once a year. He's had some complications, of course, but he created a very nice family atmosphere while I was at the University of Illinois. We used to have barbecues at his house. He and Mary would always make us feel comfortable. And again, it was a very warm environment. I was playing under Lou.
That's great. Hey, Derek, I got one more for you. Is there a game or a moment during your career here that really stands out, either positive or negative? Is there one play or one game or something that really look back and think about that?
I'll give you two really quick. Played against Kentucky at Rump Arena. Cal Macy, Dirk Minnesfield, they hyped up the matchup between me and Cal Macy, both high school McDonald's All-Americans. And I'll never forget how loud Rump Arena was. I couldn't hear myself think. I mean, I couldn't. I think I was 2 for 11 or something like that. It was a national televised game. And, man, I've never heard as much noise as those fans threw out there. And that sticks out to me. The other game that sticks out to me was at Assembly Hall when we played against Minnesota. It was a close basketball game, and I was able to knock down the winning basket with time expiring. That was the only time my mother got to see me play while I was in Champaign in person. So she and my sister were there, and I'll never forget Brian Leonard, George Montgomery, those guys put me up on their shoulders, and the arena going crazy, the Orange Crush group, everybody just going bonkers, man. That was probably my favorite moment. And as bad as the Kentucky moment was, the Minnesota game sticks out. It was a great moment for me in my career. I think that really put me on the map as a college All-American that year. I guess I should say hello.
Oh, hi, I got one for you.
Okay.
This is Paul Banks with the Sports Bank.
Okay, how are you?
Good, how are you? First off, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm tickled pink. I'm excited.
I know that Mark Cuban's ownership of the Mavericks didn't coincide with either of your two stints there, but with having your jersey retired 2 years ago by the Mavs, what is Mark Cuban like in person that maybe we don't see on Shark Tank, or what's it like to have a relationship with him?
It's pretty cool. Mark is a very down to earth person that I feel comfortable emailing business things to. I feel comfortable talking to about what's going on in my world. Mark has opened himself up to everybody that's a part of the organization, and I'm honored. I tell him all the time, thank you, thank you, thank you. I just thank Mark so much because he doesn't have to do some of the things that he does, and he really takes excellent care of his employees. Thinks he can play, he can't, but he thinks he can. And he's a gym rat. He's the guy that you come to a game early. He's in the gym shooting hoops. He's always inviting me to the Premier Club, which is where he used to play ball at all the time here in Dallas. And I keep telling him I'm too old to play. I like to golf, so I don't want to do anything that will interfere with the round of golf on Saturdays.
And then have you been able to kind of keep up a little bit with everything that he's done? I mean, he's been very active in donating money and time and, really trying to help what's going on.
Absolutely. And he's been effective because I think Mark owns like 150 small businesses, so it's certainly been damaging for him. But everybody's aware of Mark's heart, aware that he has that kind of a heart to give and try and make a difference, and he has in society. That's what it's all about. I mean, when you're in position to help, when things are in disarray, I think it's important that you do. And he's clearly been one of those guys. He's not the only guy, but, you know, he's been one of those guys that's been a huge help in times of need.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek.
You're very welcome.
Hi, Derek. My name's John Sapini. I write for Rivals.com. Very good to meet you.
You as well, John.
With how big the NCAA tournament has gotten, have you ever sat down and just thought that I wonder what would have happened if I would have stayed one more year at Illinois with that good team the next year?
I'm so sorry, but my phone was ringing while you were asking your question. Could you repeat it, please?
Sure. When have you ever thought about how good that team might have been in '84 if you had stayed one more season, and just wondered what would have happened that year?
I thought about it. I think about it frequently. I really enjoyed playing with Ephraim Winters and Bruce Douglas and Anthony Welch, Jay Daniels, all the guys that was on that team. You know, when I left high school, I thought about trying to be like Kevin Garnett, Tracy McGrady, those guys, and go straight to the NBA. I thought my game was that good. I was at my peak as a player, winning a state championship in high school. So when I got to Illinois, my goal was to go to the NBA, and I had a great junior year. So I made that decision. But prior to making that decision, man, there were a lot of people telling me that I should wait another year, that I wasn't going to get drafted high as an underclassman. I had blind faith that I would. But of course, when you start talking about the talent that we had, how deep we were as a team, the kind of year that we had with Bruce and Ephraim and, you know, all of those guys, I thought about it, and I thought about it long enough, but it didn't change my ambition to wanting to be a professional basketball player. And that's why I made the decision to send a letter in that I was declaring myself for the draft. And things worked out. Not to be selfish, but a lot of times you have to look out for your own best interests. And that was just the way I was able to come to my decision.
Hey, Derek. Hey, Derek. Got Richie from the News Gazette.
Yes, go ahead.
Illinois basketball was kind of in a rough spot for a few years in a row. Just what did you think about the way this past season played out, and what that team was able to accomplish, even if the season ended a little abruptly?
They were on their way. I was talking trash again because Illinois was playing so well, and I think if you look throughout the Big Ten, throughout sports in general, teams go through high. It's a roller coaster when you start talking about teams. But you have to get the players. It all boils down to getting the great talent from Chicago, if you would. And we weren't able to do that, and I think that was one of the reasons for the down spell in Champaign. But you watched them this year; they were exciting as a basketball team. Could score the basketball, and there's just certain things that have to be a constant when you start talking about being successful as a team. And I think Illinois were on their way right here before tournament play was about to happen. I thought they were playing as well as anybody in the Big Ten and had a chance to advance and do well in the tournament.
I'll try again. This is Lauren Tate. I thought I was muted a moment ago. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd like to know
who is this, Lauren Tate?
Yes, this is Lauren Tate, and
Lauren Tate. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'd like to have you discuss how you improved. I think you improved your scoring every year at Illinois, and for a number of years in the in the NBA. Explain how that took place, and did you improve that much from year to year?
I think so, man. I think when you're a basketball player, football, you always want to try and get better. And I think it's a credit to just doing the off season, working on different things. I mean, I've always been a gym rat and always wanted to get better as a player. And the only way to do that is to stay in the gym, work on your weaknesses. We all have them. And just, like I said, just try to improve. I mean, it's not easy to do, but the people that do it, Lauren, they stay true to their craft, man. You know, it's not a coincidence that people can hit shot after shot after shot under pressure. And what working on the game does is it takes the pressure off you come game time because you're confident that you've put the work in when you're by yourself, locked in a gym. That's what gives you the confidence to go out there and do what you do as a player. So, you know, I worked on my game every single off season. In college, I did the same thing. I did it throughout my career. In high school, it was the same thing. I mean, I stayed in the gym, and it was an old hot gym down in West Palm Beach. And I'd line up Gatorade and water on the floor and just go at it, man. Just spend that time on my craft, and that helps you to improve year in and year out.
What? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, Lauren.
Okay, I keep hearing that I'm being muted. What was it like?
You're still one of my favorite writers, by the way, Lauren. You Mr. Tate.
Well, that's
you are still one of my favorite people.
I didn't know you could remember that far back, Derek. But anyway, what was it like playing alongside Bruce Douglas? What did you learn from Bruce Douglas? He wasn't a great shooter, but he's a great player.
You know what? Bruce was a great player. I learned that there's always got to be someone that sacrifices for the sake of the team. Bruce came in from Quincy, held it All-American himself. And I've never seen a guy so selfless for the sake of the team than Bruce Douglas. Because, you know, if you average 20-plus points in college, in high school, surely you can do that at the next level. He understood what his role was. He understood me and where I was in my third year in college, and I benefited huge. I credit him for the year that I had my junior year because you're talking about a guy that had supreme vision and understood the game. It was Bruce Douglas. I was shocked that Bruce didn't stick in the NBA for a long period of time because he was a coach on the floor. And, again, it was an honor to play with him.
Thanks, Derek.
You got it, Ron.
Hi, Derek. Peyton Westner with Illini Sports Tonight. I just want to ask, you accomplished I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. You accomplished so much collegiately and professionally. What do you hope your legacy is now that your playing career is over, of course? But looking back, what do you find your legacy to be, in your own words? Thank you very much.
Wow, that's an interesting question. I'm not one that's, I tell people all the time, I'm not really concerned about my legacy because I think, and I'll try to answer your question the best that I can. I think people will remember Derek Harper because he left it on the floor every single night, played with a passion, tough-minded, and that's a lot of different things. But in a nutshell, I just think that, and that's how I felt when I retired, is that I had no more to give. I gave the game everything, every breath that I had. And for me, that's enough because I don't think everybody can say that. I think some people look back on their careers and they feel like they shorted themselves some kind of way. I didn't win a championship. I won a championship in high school, didn't win one in college, didn't win one, played for one in the NBA against the Rockets in '94. But even after not doing that, not accomplishing that champion feel, I just feel like I gave the game everything that I had. And I'm proud of that.
So, Derek, I got a question for you. Can you sing, or does that run in your family, or how'd your daughter get so good at it?
Her mother. I'm the last person to take credit for being able to sing. I sing in the shower, and it's bad, so I would assume that means I can't sing. So I can't sing. Her mother was in the Illinois choir, though.
Derek, this is Kent Brown. When was the last time you have talked with Coach Henson?
It's been a while. Lou normally gives you a call. I think he makes annual phone calls to all of us.
Okay.
Once a year during the holiday, but Lou, Coach Henson is one of those guys that you don't have to talk to every day. You know his heart. You know his style. You know that Coach Henson is a very genuine guy, and I mean, I can when I do talk to him, it's like we never separate. We go right into talking as if we talked every day. I love the guy.
Derek, this is Bob again. When was the last time you were in Champaign? Have you seen the building in its current state?
I have not seen the new building. I was back in Illinois. I want to say, I don't want to fib. I forget what was going on. Maybe about 10 years ago since I've been back in Champaign. No one knew.
Are you looking forward to seeing the place now?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely. They've been trying to get me back. Rod Cardinal emails and calls me all the time about trying to get back there for different things that's going on at the university. And I plan to do it in the near future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Derek, it's Rob McCauley again.
Hey, Rob.
I was talking with Perry Range a few years ago, just kind of off-the-cuff stuff about his time, which overlapped with your time. And he made the interesting remark that he said, I was smart enough that I was allowed to choose my own major, which wasn't something that they were sort of pushing me towards. And the thing that really struck me about that is that in a way, not much has changed about being a student athlete from that time to this time, which is to say they took academics very seriously and they wanted to make sure that people could be successful in it. But also, one thing that certainly has changed is that you can't be seen with a beer in your hand at a bar because everybody has a camera with them in their pocket at all time now. Have you thought about some of the other ways that things haven't changed or things have changed since your time in college?
Social media is certainly one of them. That's an interesting question. I tell you what doesn't change really quick is tailgating before games, before the Illini football team. I don't know if MP is still around, but I don't think that part of it will ever change because everybody used to gather there during the off season to play. But I think the biggest change is exactly what you alluded to is social media. I mean, you have to walk a very straight line right now. Everybody knows what you're doing. That's why I'm not on social media very often. But, nothing like college atmosphere. And I don't think that'll ever change. How excited and giddy people are on Saturdays for football in college, for basketball in college. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks. And let me add, I was at that Minnesota game as a 10-year-old when you hit that shot.
Man, that brings back, I tell you what, that brings back my best college memories. That shot, man, that was, that was the thing. That was the thing. That was the one thing that I'll never, ever forget. And for a lot of different reasons. But again, my mother and my middle sister was there. And to, I don't know if you've ever hit a winning shot, but to do it in that fashion, man, you never forget it. And I actually have, it was on the cover of Illini magazine that I have in my office. So it's hard to forget it because I look at it frequently.
Well, I don't know if you could see from your perspective on the floor, but I was in C section. So did you know that the entire cheerleading squad formed the letters NCAA because they knew that when you hit that shot that Illinois had a bid? Did you know that?
I did not know that. That is so interesting, man. I had no idea. That's beautiful stuff, man.
Well, now you know. Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.
Any final questions?
Derek,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just had one more. This is Lauren. What's the latest you've heard on Tony Yates? Have you kept up on him at all?
I have not, Lauren. I'm sad to say that I haven't. Coach Yates is the reason why I wasn't a Illini. Obviously, well, you know that. But if you would, Lauren, I don't know. Can I give you my number, man, just so you could kind of connect me with Coach Yates?
Hey, Derek, I'll take care of Lauren with your phone number.
Okay, great. Yeah, that sounds
Thank
good.
you.
I didn't know how to go about that, but I would like to touch base with it.
Any last questions for Derek Harper today? Hearing none. Derek, thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Again, and we're very excited to have you part of our Hall of Fame, and I know we're looking forward to having you back whenever you get a chance to get back here. So all the best. Stay safe.
Okay, thank you very much. You guys
Thanks,
enjoy.
Kent. Thanks, Derek.
Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome, guys.